Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, one and all, to the Game Arena Fall Summoners series. I am one of your hosts, Kamika, and I am joined by Diadem. Say hello, dude.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Obviously, brand new to the stream, but excited to bring the energy, excited to bring a bit of fun here. League is definitely one of my favorite games to cast, especially. So hopefully, looking for a lot of competition today.
Oh yeah, dude, League's got a near and dear place to my heart as well, and to a lot of these teams here as well. As I think we are bringing up the bracket. Yes, indeedy, we are. These are all the teams that are going to be competing today. Gravity is going to, I think that's how you pronounce that, is going to be already moved on to the winter semis because we had a team drop out last minute, and they are definitely the team to beat on paper. They are filled to the brim with masters and one grandmaster, so definitely looking like a stacked roster.
Yeah, for sure. But definitely you can't count out the rest of the teams, right? And especially going into this draft here, we have Cleveland State Esports on blue side versus Ohio State University on the red side. A couple of first bands coming out, knowing that you got to get the Master Yi and the LeBlanc out the way. Master Yi probably just more of a one-trick pick, but LeBlanc extremely strong in this meta, as Kamika can tell you.
Yeah, she's like one of my pocket bands besides Syndra right now, who I would also expect to be seeing banned or picked first at the very least. LeBlanc, she's just very strong with the more powerful items for mages, like Ludens and Storm Surge and things like that. You slap those in LeBlanc, she can one shot pretty much anybody. So good idea to be getting her out of here pretty quickly.
Definitely. I mean, you ban the LeBlanc on the side. Ohio State opting to ban the Skarner. We don't see the second ban, but Skarner just being extremely strong, especially with 14-19 being the
Oh,
patch we
good
are
ban.
playing on today. Yep. Yeah. A lot of damage being lost, especially out of AD items, which means those tanks are just extremely strong right now. So getting it out the way, but on the side of CSU finishing off their bans with a way. Obviously, these caster mages, these kind of items that they build together, just being really, really strong. I see you smiling over there in the booth. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So hopefully, gonna bring out a little bit of a nuanced draft here, with the third ban for Ohio State being Sejuani.
Yeah, I do notice that the Syndra is left wide open for the taking, so I would be a little bit shocked if Cleveland Esports didn't try to like snag that up real quick with the first pick. They're probably thinking about it right now, like, oh, do we take Syndra or do we try to get one of our more, carry type picks like for a top laner or something like that, like Camille. Camille's also a character that's very high priority that hasn't been banned yet. So Cleveland probably just debating between one of those two is my guess. Oh,
Definitely.
Brand
It looks like
too.
Brand. Okay. Brand obviously strongest right now in the jungle, but still can be a bot flex. Usually we see in competitive. What you have to be worried about with B1ing Brand, especially if it's in high priority, is Ohio State is now open to kind of early rotation jungle mid, as we see the Aurora hovered here, because you can kind of get jumped on, right? Obviously, having low mobility means that Brand is very volatile early in the game.
That's true, and he does need vision to get his full combo off, like in order to get his E off on you, and it also does make it a little bit more difficult for him to hit his Q. So Aurora is can make things a little bit difficult for Brand. Also, he does a lot of percent HP damage, which Aurora does not stack a whole lot of HP with a lot of her builds nowadays, but she can totally go that route. But Ohio State University has a good option here for them. If they do have Camille in their pool, they can go for that. If they could go for Orin as well, who's been a very, very strong pick. But instead it looks like they're gonna go for a little bit of Jinx action here.
Yeah, I like it personally, especially if you're gonna go with the R1 Aurora. Just Jinx adds a lot of team fight versatility. Aurora, especially with her lockdown ult, you can kind of just work a lot around the spacing that Jinx has, looking for a reset. So hopefully Cleveland State Esports gonna look to kind of bring back their draft a little bit, knowing that you have to fight into that Jinx reset. Maybe look for a little bit more of single target blow up, knowing that you have that AoE damage from Brand.
Yeah, and like we said, this could be brand ADC, this could be brand mid, brand jungle, but based on what they're picking here, I wouldn't be too shocked if we saw Lucian coming out here to accompany the Nami. It could be brand Nami, but I don't know. Lucian Nami is also pretty good here as well, and uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It's just really hard to say. The meta's all over the place, as you know.
Definitely, yeah. A lot of ADs struggling right now, especially in just patch. But it looks like yeah, they're going Brand Nami with the Syndra as their 1, 2, 3. I like it. right? You leave Syndra up till B3. You know that okay, you see the Aurora, you see the Jinx. If you're comfortable with fighting those two, the rest of the picks on our side can kind of not be neglected, but you're okay and feel a lot more confident taking Syndra into them.
Yeah, I feel confident taking Syndra into anyone in this patch, honestly, dude.
Yeah, true.
She's just so far ahead of everybody. But Jinx Nautilus is pretty good. The one thing that you got to worry about if you're Ohio State here is Cleveland State Esports is stacking a lot of burst damage here, and you got a decent amount of squishy people here. So yeah, you got to be very conscientious of keeping control over bushes, keeping control over vision and everywhere. Because if you try to face check anything, you go into anywhere without vision, then you're pretty much going to get one shotted by Brand, get locked down by Nami or Syndra. It's going to be a bad time.
Yeah, and obviously you're still leaving the brand up for flex, so leaving either your AD or your jungle to be picking here for B4, B5. But big thing, I think CSU, although they do have a ton of single target blow up, they are missing a lot of engage, right? You have a
That's
lot
true.
of disengage from Nami, you have a lot of early like stun and kind of vision control with Syndra and Brand, but when you are in those team fights where you are on vision and you're trying to approach lane, you really need somebody that's going to stand in front of your team.
Yeah, and I think that they're probably going to look to. I don't know their champ pool to be totally honest with you, but an Orin would fit in pretty good here, obviously, because he's got the Forge, the Call of the Forge God, and he can just engage on a lot of fights. He can upgrade Syndra's items. He can do a lot of really good things into this comp. Nara as well would have been a good option, but Cleveland doesn't think that they can get it away from Ohio State, is my guess here. So we'll see what Ohio State goes with.
Yeah, makes sense, right? Obviously, Ohio State opting for the R4, right? Gonna have to get that first pick, and you're leaving up your counter pick. So they do pick the Jarvan here. That's kind of the engage that you're looking for, right? You have Brand Syndra, you have a lot of targets that are immobile. So Brand, or excuse me, not Brand, but Jarvan are being extremely, extremely valuable in this fight.
Yeah, I like that Ohio State's going for a lot of isolation potential here with the Aurora ult, the J4 ult, and things like that. They make it so that they can just really focus on one character in particular. So they're looks like they're going for a little bit of a pick comp here as well. And just as I was suggesting, Cleveland State is going to be going for the Orin lock-in, and that just leaves, I believe, their jungler unless they're flexing Brand there. I feel like, yeah,
Yep,
definitely going to be going in for the jungler here. I
Brand
feel like if
ADC.
they were going to go for their ADC not being Brand, they would have locked in Lucian instead of Syndra. But yeah, Nocturne would be a very good pick here as well for Engage. He's got a very high win rate and he's very good with the items right now.
I really like the knocked, especially because Ohio State kind of just wants to go at you, right? You have Nautilus, you have J4. They want to just try and target you in that front line. So you turn the lights off, and it kind of alleviates that issue where you only have like Ornn as your engage when you turn the lights off, because now Brand, Nami, and Syndra all play from those bushes, right? They all play from outside of vision. They can engage from that. But Ohio State just keeping up with that kind of we're going to run straight at you in this fight mentality and picking up the Yone mid.
I think, shoot, it could honestly, they could flex the Aurora and the Yone around, to be totally honest with you. They
Yeah,
could go Yone's top up against Orin, or they could go Aurora top up against Orin, because, both of them do like magic damage, percent health damage. So it could be really either one, in my personal opinion. But yeah,
I think
it's
if you're Ohio State, you probably have to take Aurora top here because the Yone isn't the strongest into Ornn, but I do know that Yone is pretty good into Syndra right now, at least like meta wise, patch wise. So we'll have to see what they flex. Obviously, it's more based on the comfort of their teams, right? If you're not ready to take the Aurora top, don't take the Aurora top. Much better to take a worse matchup and be better at your champion than the other way around. So we'll have to see. But I'm excited to kind of see how these teams want to play this map.
Yeah, me as well. And just as like some last closing remarks, if you had to make any predictions like for win cons for either ones of these teams, what would you say is the win condition and the likelihood of it for both these teams?
Yeah, so I'd say biggest thing is that Cleveland State's esports has a lot more scaling on their side, right? So you have a lot of brand control, you have a lot of wave control, but Syndra and Ornn being your best scalers, I think the biggest issue that Cleveland State runs into is where does Nocturne fall into this, right? You need to kind of get Nocturne going around that level 6 which is where Syndra is pretty weak. It's where Ornn starts to get his engage, but Ornn isn't really building that health that you really see him outside of like level 10, right? So I feel like Nocturne getting ahead early this game is going to be huge for him keeping the tempo with the rest of his laners. Ohio State University has a lot of prio in these early fights though. Right? Because it's pretty much if Jinx Nautilus don't get pushed out of lane exactly too hard in this early game, they can walk with the J4 and you have a ton of bot prio. So it's mainly just if Jinx Nautilus can neutralize this lane, make sure that Brand Nami don't get too far ahead, and they can take the fights 3v3 with Nocturne early, I think Ohio State is in a really great spot for looking for Jinx resets.
Yeah, I think Ohio State has a pretty good amount of scaling here as well. They've got the Aurora, they got the Yone, they got the Jinx. So that's your three main scaling things right there, and all of them are damage dealers. If you notice the Cleveland Esports side, their major scaler is Syndra and Ornn is not. Well, despite the fact that he is a tank, a out and out damage dealer, even though he can do a decent amount of damage. So
Yep.
I feel like if we do get late into the game, Jinx will start to get some of her items. Brand will have that early, as we said, that gold spike because their items are cheaper and they have more gold efficiency from the mage items. But eventually, Jinx will get to a point to where she'll just be one-shotting the brand as long as they keep good vision and stuff like that. They don't get jumped by the Syndra and bursted. They have multiple sources of damage. They have multiple sources of CC. They have the ability to lock down people who are like stragglers, like Syndra. You see, like if J4 finds an opportunity to ult onto Syndra, and Jinx fires an ult at him, that's dead Syndra. Just all your damage gone, basically. And
Yep.
so that's my one major concern for Cleveland State Esports is just getting caught out.
Yeah, definitely. I think the final thing that I can say about this draft is Cleveland State is really AP heavy, right? You're
True.
really magic damage heavy. You really only have Nocturne as your AD damage. So if he does get set behind early, this could spell a really, really tough spot for Cleveland State.
Yeah, definitely expect to be seeing Mav Malmortis being bought on J4 110%. But
No
ladies
kidding.
and gentlemen, that all remains to be seen. We are going to be going to a little bit of a break while we get the spectator delay out of the way. But don't go anywhere. The game's going to start real soon. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen. We are in here with Ohio State University versus Cleveland State Esports. The draft, it was spicy, and as you can plainly tell by the picks, and the gameplay is about to be even spicier as we've got a Yone top and an Aurora mid now clarified.
Yeah. Definitely. Now that we know where they're going, right, we can kind of
And
structure these ideas a little bit better. Trying to figure out kind of where we want prio, where we want to take it. J4 it looks like opting to just take a pretty simple top to bot clear. Probably going to be looking for a little bit of early prio into this brand Nami to just alleviate a bit of the stress that Jinx has on this early lane. And it seems that Nocturne going the pretty same way, right? Obviously, you got pretty simple 5 points from each team here.
are they going? Looks
They're
like they're
going
going
in
for a
for an
little bit of a
early ward,
bully.
it looks like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get a passing out. They are going to trade a little bit. Aurora getting that very first Arcane Comet proc, but otherwise now you have a bit of jungle tracking on the side of Cleveland State.
Yep, that's true. And Nocturne is a very good jungler when it comes to 1v1s in the jungle, even up
Oh,
against someone like
Nocturne,
J4. So
yeah,
that's probably what they're looking for there.
you have to be careful. Yone gave up a little bit early in his lane just to walk in and get a traded ward to spot Nocturne. So it looks like both teams right now are taking a bit of vision prio, but an early hook not going to land it. Going to only find it on that caster minion. Jinx just going to be able to hit right back. Nautilus taking a bit of early trades. This brand Nami is really, really strong. This level 1, level 2. So as long as you can avoid these
Oh, but
hooks,
the
but it
level
looks
2.
like you won't be able to. There's the hook going in on Aqualad. The exhaust immediately. Jinx walking up, getting a couple of hits. Gonna have to shoot wave. Gonna force the flash out of Nami as well. Still holding on to the heal, but that is an early summoner out of lane. Knowing J4 has a lot of early prio early lane presence. It's gonna be pretty big for that team.
Yeah, Brandon Nami are going to have to back up, not just because of the damage, but if you look at the CS numbers from Jinx, she's been hitting the wave a lot more than Brand, and so she's definitely was likely to hit that level 2 first. So good little bit of prio there for them in the beginning, but it looks like because of Nami's sustain, even without using the heal, they're able to pretty much heal right back up to where they were before. So this is where you got to be a little bit careful with the wave state pushing back up into you.
Yep. It looks like, I mean, the stacking wave, right? Obviously, Yone has a lot more prio early when you're not really stacking that health. But like you were talking about, in this bot lane, you have a lot of sustain. So I think the win con for Jinx and Nautilus is you have to take enough trades to where Nami doesn't feel comfortable with her mana anymore. Right? Obviously,
Right.
the biggest nerfs going to Nami, especially in that 14-18, 14-19 patch, were the mana cost going on her W and her E.
Ooh.
So if you can afford to torture them kind of a little bit in the lane, force that W out a lot more, force them to take trades they don't want to, brand EQ they're missing, you get a lot more sustain. But it looks like Nocturne's going to be first to this lane as J4 is on that scuttle. They're going to walk back a couple of trades. The Scorch proccing, not going to be able to kill Jinx. Jinx just walking out of that. They're saving both the summoners. And now J4 is going to be looking for a wraparound in this mid lane. Oh, and Cedric
Yeah,
just stepped up. This might be pretty dangerous. Immediately getting shot, forcing the flash out as well. You have the pullback, and that's going to be first blood for the side of OSU. Pick it up on the Jarvan.
yeah, that's a solid counter gank coming out from Jarvan. Nocturne wasted a lot of time down here, and yeah, I think that Jinx just played that really, really well. She realized that she was getting zoned off the minions, and that because of their jungle tracking and the timer on the board, probably Nocturne was probably in the area as well, and you saw that J4 was dropping some pings down there as well, warning Jinx, and so she just backed right on up, as a good ADC does typically tend to do when the jungler's warning you, hey, the other junglers are out here. And they were able to avoid dying because of that. Didn't even have to use any summoners, and Syndra lost both her summoners and died.
Yep. I wish you could tell that to my solo ADCs, because sometimes I
Right.
don't think they get that point. But otherwise, yeah, just pretty good jungle tracking, knowing that when you can back up, saving your summoners. And now Nautilus is on a roam timer, right? These first grubs are going to be coming up in a minute here. You have a lot of timing. First Dragon's up, but obviously Dragon a lot harder to take than these grubs early, especially for a lot of junglers.
Whoa.
So we have to see what teams want to prio.
Yeah, and the fact that Nautilus is there means that they can keep that vision control on that bush. She was pinging like, hey, if she contests for this, come right over here and help me. It's another free kill into the Syndra. And so, yeah, keeping great vision control over the bottom side for this Dragon up.
Yeah, the rough part is, right, obviously you look at the CS numbers in the bot lane, because of that early Nocturne show, although you didn't get anything out of it, you allowed Brand to take his prio back in the lane that they kind of lost from that Nautilus hook. So they are going to be up a lot in the CS numbers here, especially just walking into this mid game.
Yep. They do have a little bit of control here. The wave is stacked pretty strong, and Jinx can definitely clear this pretty strongly and justify the Dragon play here. So even if Brand is feeling a little bit ahead, that hurt!
Immediately another hook coming in from downtown. Gets the shot, gets the exhaust off. There's the heal coming out of Nami as well. No flash still, but Beard's Weird taking another trade. It looks like OSU is just taking control of their red side jungle here in Cleveland. Oh, but gets bubbled out, and there's the flash as well, has to step in front. Beard's Weird, they're able to turn. That's one kill going on the Nocturne. Jinx gets the reset. Jinx looking for the second reset on Nami here. The Nami W not being able to save her, and now going for the third kill. Scrub McLord's the only one left, and he's not going to stand for long. Jinx with the early triple kill, 6 minutes in the game.
Oh, that is disgusting. I was a little bit worried there for a second when Nautilus hooked the wall and they were starting to turn the fight around from Beard is Weird. But well played from the Jinx there especially, and the Nautilus and the J4 to zone her off of her so that she could get those excited stacks going on. So, yeah, this is pretty much what we were talking about as one of their win conditions, is that Jinx just needs to outlast Brand, eventually needs to just hit her item spike, and now she's really accelerated towards that.
Yep. Although you were able to trade like one kill on his Beard's Weird there in that last fight, you take just a lot of the pressure off of your bot side now, because Jinx 3-0, got the coal stacking as well. You still have a gold spike coming in, and you're sitting really pretty for this early dragon.
Oh yeah, and they're coming for round 2. Nocturne is just forced completely away because he has nothing down there to farm. He would fall even further behind than J4. He's already 8 CS down, equal in kills, but yeah, he's basically forced to go in farm top, and J4 is going for a lane gank as well!
Yeah, and they're gonna find another one. I mean, Nautilus is not there, so Brand and Nami are just kind of assuming it's a 2v2, but you have to understand the level advantage that you get in jungle. He had 6. right? You just kind of walk up on them. You're kind of secured in that death. You know you don't have flash from the last fight, and J4 just clears out another kill for his Jinx. As immediately we have an engage right here again. Nautilus flashing over the wall, going to be able to hit the hook after the Aurora E, and now just pulling back the final hit. It will go to Nautilus, but that is a lot of pressure lost in that mid lane. They're going to take this early dragon. Nocturne is pathing up, just trying to counter jungle a lot, but I think OSU is in a pretty great spot here now if they want to reset and try and look for this topside objective.
Yeah, I think that Cleveland is absolutely frazzled at this point. They are 0-2 in their carrying lanes. It's and their the enemy Jinx has got a 300 gold shutdown pre-10 minutes. It's not looking too good. And oh, the vision control there, Nocturne may be dead.
Yep, and Nocturne getting pushed off. The fear just going to be enough, just going to force him off. But now Nocturne has to reset. You know that he can't really clear his jungle anymore. And they're just walking. But it looks like he's going to call Syndra down as well. Nami taken to the side. You have to be careful. They aren't on vision right now for blue side, but they're just going to bubble over the wall knowing that they're there. And there's the ult as well. The vision from the bubble going to be enough. They get nearsighted, but then dashes over the wall. Going to flash back over. Scrum McLord not going to be able to hit the stun. And they will take their red buff back, but they did blow a lot for that.
Yeah, they really did, and Syndra missed a lot of CS, a lot of XP, and the wave is already pushed in. Aurora and Jinx, while all their laners are going back to basically deal with that, or just getting even further ahead XP and catching, if not extending their CS leads.
Yep, and this is kind of what we talked about earlier in this game. A big issue for the side of CSU is if Nocturne can't really get ahead early, you have a really heavy scaling comp. You don't really have anybody to back you up, especially if OSU takes that kind of momentum with them.
Yeah, and Jinx having the cull as well as being able to just get so much free stacking on that.
Ooh, and a great knock-up and a cancel. Here comes the call of the Force God, and then knocking back up, stands in front of the ult, just a Q left, there's the flash out of Yone. Or not going to be able to follow it back up. Really, really close timing there, but going to take a lot of prio, going to force Yone to back here in TP.
Yeah, he could have flashed for that too if he really, really wanted to, Orin, but yeah, I think he's just content to keep it for later, go ahead, and I think he's going to be getting a plate off of this, going for the back, and then trying to fight again. With a completed item, I do believe he's got enough gold for that now.
Yep, I'd like kind of holding the trigger there on the flash. Obviously, you could get the kill, but your lane only gets better from here, being honest, right? You lose a little bit in your first item spike with Bork for Yone, but otherwise you're stacking a lot of health into them, and it becomes really, really easy for you to take prio. So making sure that you have that flash advantage still, especially if they want to call Nocturne up for this early objective, is really, really nice for CSU. But looks like they won't win out on this first objective. Jarvan jumping up on those Void Grubs as well. Dragon going to be spawning here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, just a complete clean sweep for all the objectives for Ohio State, dude. They got the Dragon, they got the Grubs now, and that's going to make the push power even stronger for Yone, for Jinx. And it looks like we got a little bit of a top kerfuffle going on here. Probably not going to lead to any deaths unless Yone just decides he wants to all in this, which he totally maybe can. Doesn't have the ult still from the last fight, but still going to be doing a lot of damage.
Yep, really nice there, and then they're going to pop the ult, but it's own bot side is then immediately the engage. Nami going to hit the wave, but not going to miss. Then the flash out from Jinx, and they're going to turn, and it immediately switches act. They're going to be able to pick up one kill on Nautilus here. Jinx just kiting back, going to be able to get the reset. Aurora and J4 down on the side as well. Aurora ult going to stop him out. Scrub McLord falling, Nami falling, and on the top side we have Orin falling as well. 4 members of CSU dead with the only one left in mid lane, and this game is just looking rougher and rougher for them.
Oh my god, dude. I could not have predicted a better start for Ohio State University. They've got literally every single thing they wanted. Every lane that they wanted to be getting prio in, they're winning hard. Like, this Syndra is so far behind. She's the kind of character that needs to stack up over time, and she's just not been able to do that because the jungle pressure's just been absolutely ridiculous. She does get a free kill there onto Yone, which does help her quite a lot, but yeah, just the constant jungle pressure, well, in Nocturne's jungle and in her lane, she just hasn't really been able to do too much.
Yeah, it's looking really rough for CSU right now, but you just have to remember, with this meta especially, you really can't count Syndra out. right? So that early
Definitely
kill
not.
there put a little bit of gold in their pocket, even out the lead a teensy bit, but still already sitting at 5K here, 12 minutes into the game. CSU has to play a lot of damage control.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get Syndra to her to her next item, she does have a really strong 2 item spike with Storm Surge if she is deciding to go that way. But oh, might be getting a little bit of a caught
Another
onto the
engage,
Nocturne here. But oh,
trying to
might
fight over it.
yeah, they no ult up means that he should be surviving there.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting. You saw the Nocturne spell shield, but if you don't know, J4, right? You can spell shield the E when it lands and not the knockup, which is what happens. So you kind of wait for the spell shield and then you EQ because it'll proc on the E, not on the actual knockup. Not being able to buffer it. So it's a bit of a weird interaction for Nocturne, but it does work out in his favor there as he has his team, and they are going to try and just rotate 5 people here for the second objective, knowing, hey, you lost out early on the map. We have to make sure we get something here, although you lose 4 plates topside to this Yone.
Yeah, that is a
TP as
little
well.
bit rough. But I mean, Brand is pretty
There's a
good
ton
into
of
the Yone
damage.
here. He might be able to get a little bit of pressure going on here, but J4 making his way towards the top. Might be going for a bit of a crazy dive with low health
Yeah,
Yone, but Brand is low mana.
You have Yone ult. Yeah, you have to be a bit careful. If you can get the silence, it's a bit rough, but no ult on Brand either. Knowing that you have the Aurora in the corner, immediately going to ult. They're just going to dive. There's no minions.
Way.
There's the ult from Nocturne as well, jumping to the side, and they both reset their positions and just going to jump away, but Miller in a really rough spot. Somebody had to go down the flash over the wall, and all that's left is Nami. Nami getting the slow, Ian out, and then blast coding, and Miller's going to be safe.
Yeah, meantime, in the bot lane, Orange just have a really hard time
power
rolling
drop.
all the engage.
Yone ult as well. The Nami wave is not going to be enough. They're going to be able to trade 1-for-1. That's another shutdown going in the pocket. There's a flash from Nami in the queue. I like the aggressiveness, but it's not going to turn into anything. Syndra still looking for a QE. Will hit it and get the W and picks up a double kill. Yeah, Cleveland State, their win con is the Syndra now.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what you didn't want to have happen in this state of the game for Ohio State University. You were so far ahead in every single metric. Jinx is pretty much able to get this turret, and if Orange goes for the contest on this, he will probably die too. But yeah, so the fact that Syndra just got all that gold is going to be getting a little bit contested here by J4, but should probably die here regardless of what she does, so she's going to save her flash. But barring that, she should still have enough to where she's able to get pretty close to finishing boots and then a component of her Storm Surge.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of J4s kind of hover around this Eclipse build recently, especially. I know a couple of junglers I've been talking to have known it's been pretty strong. So seeing that kind of early damage spike come out, hitting 2 items now is arguably where J4 is strongest coming up on this next objective. So getting back on the map, all you have to play around is that Syndra, right? Brand still does a surprising amount of damage, doesn't have a lot of prio, obviously, against the 5-0 Jinx, but if you can find somebody, if you can get a pick in these fights, you can easily turn it still.
Yeah, all I'm looking at Brand for in these situations is just CC. He doesn't even have a completed item at this point, and the enemy team are like at the point where they're about to get 2 completed items. It's looking a little bit rough for him in terms of being able to do any damage. But speaking of damage, oh my god, this Aurora is definitely eating this guy for lunch with that % health damage. Complete and utter prio over top. They're gonna be looking to get this Rift Herald.
Yep, definitely. They're gonna take this Rift Herald. I'm thinking you either drop it for mid tier 2 or bot tier 2 in this situation, because you do have a little bit more prio over the Orin. You can kind of just shove them in a little bit easier than the Syndra. But yeah, they're just looking for somebody to step up to this mid wave.
Yeah, I'm thinking in this scenario, you definitely go for the mid tier 1. You bring it mid for the tier 1, but you could probably do it even without it, so you just drop it while you're taking it, and then just go for the mid tier 2 as well, so for the prio on both lanes.
Yep. You see Jinx is going to opt to the rockets there, looking for the reset, might be able to walk up. He's going to use that speed to bounce back, and that's going to be a free mid tier 1, saving that Rift Herald.
Yeah, what they're probably saving it for now, in retrospect, is the dragon is coming up in about a minute 30, so they'll probably save it till around the time when they're trying to fight for positioning. They'll drop it in the mid lane, force them to say, hey, you guys want to keep your mid turret, or you want to try and contest this for the dragon. It's just a really great way of getting prio for these dragon fights.
Yep, definitely. It just puts a little bit of pressure off of you and a little bit more pressure on Cleveland State because now they have to kind of figure out where they want to answer. And you saw the last time that Cleveland State took an objective here, they had to rotate 5 very early in the game. So forcing them to split a bit better, especially when you have goal leads across the board, is really, really great for you.
Yeah, and they do all have TP up here as well, Ohio State University, so they are able to have Aurora go top and then come back towards the later part after she does get prio, if the fight does go a little bit bad for them. Looks like as well they don't realize that the ward situation is going on here. That is a lot of control wards in that push, by the way. 2 per team.
This is a competitive esports player's like nightmare right here, but immediately jumping over the wall, just gonna get the J4 ult. Although the lights are turned off, it seems like it's not gonna turn into anything. The immediate cleanse from Jinx in the backline. Miller still trying to work for this kill on Scrub. Not gonna be able to find the Q and find under tower. They will trade 2 for 1 here, but not exactly the best for OSU, especially with the lead that you have. You're still gonna have prio over this bot side, and you should still be able to take it with no Nocturne ult, but it is just not the cleanest that you'd like.
Yeah, it might not be the cleanest as you like, but it's still a trade that's well worth having. This Jinx can take it by herself with the Nautilus at this point, and the fact that Nocturne doesn't have ult means he can't go for the steal very easily. And at the same time, Aurora on her split push was able to completely obliterate the Orin, so just requiring your attention in multiple different places at the same time.
Yep, we're sitting at a rough spot now to where obviously you have stacking dragons here. You know it's going to be Mountain Soul, which is huge for the side of OSU because tankiness is kind of something that they lack a lot in their comp. So being able to pick up this Mountain Soul would be huge for them. But CSU still has the scaling like available to them. You really don't have many other options other than the farm right now, especially with Baron coming up here. OSU wouldn't be surprised if they try and go for it early, especially with that Jinx damage.
Yeah, you really, at this point, just need to get a lot of farm onto your Syndra. She's 19 CS down, a lot of kills. Not a lot of kills at this point down, but you know, if you can just get her to this second item, she can literally one-shot anyone on the enemy team. Yone gets one shot, Jinx gets one shot, Aurora definitely gets one shot. But speaking of getting one shot, we might be seeing someone going down here.
There's the Jinx rocket, not going to be able to land on the correct target, but it doesn't really matter here as Aurora just walking down the jungle in the backline. Miller's going to pick up the kill on Syndra. Aurora picks up the kill on Nocturne, and that's going to just be a clean 2 for 0 there.
Yeah, and just as we were saying, we just need Syndra to farm. Ohio State University knows that.
There.
What?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so what I was saying was that they know that Syndra just needs to farm in order to catch back up in this game, so they're just hardcore targeting her. Whenever they see her farming, they're like, we got vision in that jungle, we know that no one's there to help you, we're just going to dive you, and you're going to die, and you're not going to get any CS at all.
Definitely no, and you see also, it works out because they're just trying to drop Rift, right? You're running up on that timer there, you drop the Rift to take tier, and now you're looking for a dive underneath the tower. You're going to have a 2v3 with the wave pushing up. There's the immediate ult on the Nami. The lights are turned off as well, jumping on the Jinx. Going to have to push to the back. Looks like Beard is going to be able to clear one, clear 2. Scrub picks up the second. You still have the Nami in 3. That's going to be a clean trade. The Yone ult hits huge in the back, though. They're going to be able to trade 1. But it looks like Nautilus will fall for this call of the Forge God coming back out. Almost sniping, not sidestepping it, but all that's left is Yone in the mid lane. And CSU
oh my God,
taking advantage of a bit of a misstep from OSU there.
That is absolutely illegal. Great punishment coming out from Cleveland.
Aurora comes immediately
coming in, trying to catch them all. Low health catches 2 of them. And no way! She pulls it out somehow.
Nope. Just saved the Baron right there. Actually huge.
And the praise from the Jinx you see there, justifiably so. God, that would have been so astoundingly crazy.
Yeah, that would have been such a swing as well for CSU because not only, you get the gold from Baron, but then you take that and you have prio in your lanes again, right? You take that kind of side, you claim the shutdown on Jinx, you got all that gold now back to your bot side. Your bot side's catching up in items now. You really aren't too far ahead, at least on the bot side team, but remember, you are still sitting at an 11k gold lead here, so OSU not too worried about that loss, especially after Aurora swinging that right back. So just take as many kills as you can and immediate engage on the side as well. The J4 ult coming out, catching 2, jumping to the back. Syndra QE not going to be able to land, and that's 2, and Jinx has to reset, just walking down the side. Jarvan picks up the kill on Syndra. The ult coming in at the very end, just desperation, trying to find it. Does pick up the burn kill, but it's going to be a consolation prize to losing that fight. And OSU just taking a bit of a commanding lead in this game.
Yeah, those timers are kind of long, dude. The only one that's going to be up in time is, well, actually, you know what? They probably will be up in time, but that's at very least one of the inhibitors going down and losing all of your jungle. So it's, while they, as long as Cleveland State doesn't misplay heavily here, they should be able to just still survive and maybe play for the next dragon or something like that. But it's still a great blow dealt by OSU.
Definitely. Now, I mean, you have a minute left on Dragon, right? You're going to be looking for these backs. You got to take the red side, make sure that Nocturne can't get anything free, especially with those global red buffs being huge for this fight. Just adding a little bit more burn, a little bit more sustain on your side. You're going to have a lot of item spikes here, though, especially after that fight. So you just take a look on the map, but it looks like Yone is going to have to ult out here. That is a huge ult, not going to be had for this fight, but Scrub McLord just running him down now, looking for a bit of a trade. You know that nobody on OSU is there, but CSU doesn't know that, so they're just going to back up.
Yeah, now that I look at it, it looks like Syndra, instead of going for the Storm Surge build, is going to be going for a Shadow Flame instead, which does take a little bit longer to build, but it does give you a little bit more of a payout in terms of overall damage, and what you definitely need on this Cleveland State Esports team is damage right now. But, yeah, it's looking at as well, that analyzing that fight between the Brand and the Yone in that last one, it's starting to look like Brand is starting to come online here a little bit in terms of his damage and utility. You see he's finally finished his Rylai's Scepter, and with a team that requires a lot of speed to catch up to you, and like Jinx catching up to you with her excitedness, is something that can definitely make it so that this Jinx doesn't spiral completely out of control like she has in every single one of these fights.
Yep. And Jinx just spiraling out of control has been really, really a tough spot for CSU trying to just get into this, because it plays really well with that kind of Jarvan Nautilus pick comp. Immediately the wall, J4 jumping in as well. There's the knockup, and that's going to be the first reset on Jinx. Jinx getting jumped on the backline. Beards Weird just trying to tank it. A quick cleanse from Jinx as well. That's going to be a double kill, flashing out of tower range, looking for the W, not going to find it. Aurora kind of stuck on the side with Ornn. Ornn flashing, being able to get on him, but Miller is in the backline as well. Finds Scrub McLord the bubble, not going to be able to save him for long. The E finishing it off. Jinx kiting back this Ornn in the bot side. The lethal tempo fully procced. Ornn looking for damage, but not going to find it. And the final push on this base looks like it's beginning as they're taking these Nexus towers. The immediate hook on Nami. Not much you can do there. The Yone ult coming back out, finishing it out. And that is going to be game one of this best of one, going to Ohio State University, advancing ahead in this bracket.
And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, it is all over. Ohio State University getting ahead in the early game and snowballing their lead expertly well into the late game, not allowing any of the carries from the enemy team to get anything going at all. And they are going to be moving on in this winner's bracket to fight Gravity. Sorry. Yes, Gravity.
Yeah, it looks like Ohio Northern did duplicate a bit on our bracket, but no worries about that. We have Ohio State moving on. It's going to be a banger match, right? I'm really excited for that because we have UC Pink also advancing, Ohio Northern on the bot side, and we'll be watching a ton of games, right? You know, I talked about it earlier. We have a lot of competition today. We have a lot of energy today, and just these kind of banger matches with these heavy team fighting team comps. I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this next one as well. I don't know if we're going to be exactly casting OSU versus Gravity in this next game, but yeah, they looked like definitely a tier above CSU, just in my personal opinion, just from overall team fighting scenarios. They were able to get such great control over the map. I don't think it was just down to the fact that, oh, we got Jinx 3 kills in the early game, because that doesn't necessarily translate into every single part of the map winning, obviously. And so, yeah, I just think overall they got something really good going on their team. They got some good comps, they got some good plans, and they've got some great execution. And I would love to see them go up against our tier 1 favorite here in Gravity, who are just filled with master players. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you know anything about I don't know if you watch a lot of streamers in League Diadem, but there was a team of challenger players that went to some tournaments and things like that. Like, like a lot of the big challenger streamers and things like that. They went to this thing
Yeah,
called the
yeah, yeah.
CB Dante's and
Oh
Co.
yeah.
And they got smacked by some of these teams that just have a lot more experience together.
Yep.
So I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily looking at the ranks, but if OSU can keep playing like this, they could very well beat Gravity, even though they have better ranks.
Yeah, we always also I'm at Valpo Esports right now, right? We tell everybody that comes in that competitive league is just a much different game than solo queue, right? And you can just see that here with OSU's play. The difference between a good team and a great team is the tempo that you bring, right? You get early ahead in the mid game, you get early ahead in the late game, and you kind of just keep snowballing that lead forward and forward and forward. You keep that tempo up, and it's really, really hard to come back against these teams. So obviously, looking at the ranks, it is pretty rough, but knowing that, competitive league has a way of just working out, I'm really excited to see how these teams do in this bracket.
Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be cutting to a quick break, but when we come back, there's going to be more Summoner Series action coming right at you. Don't go anywhere.